Woe to you, O earth and sea.
It's the Hop Nation
USA Podcast.
It's episode 176 of the Hop Nation USA podcast, and as you can hear, we're on the Zoom.
We're
we
back.
have a guest. Yeah, we're back every week. It just goes on and on forever. But
in perpetuity.
we're on the Zoom, and we have co-host Adam. He's here.
Of course, as is tradition.
Yes. And if we're on Zoom, that means we're trying our best to have guests on because they can socially distance as far as they want. But this one's only about 30 miles away. This week, our guest is Adam Bashline of Bash Brew, well-renowned home brewer in the Pittsburgh scene. Can we say that?
I'll take at least Pittsburgh renowned, maybe. I don't know
Yeah.
about world. I haven't shipped any other countries yet.
I said well-renowned. I didn't say world.
Oh, I thought you said world. I'll take well. No, I will. I'll take.
But I like where your head's at. That's very optimistic. I like that.
Yes, we're having Adam on this week because I mean I just like having two Adams at once, but but really, we haven't talked much home brewing in the past couple months as quarantine locked us all down, and that's because we really didn't do any home brewing either.
No, I think this is the longest period of time that I personally have gone without home brewing in, I'll say, since the beginning.
Great, that's a great time frame for the audience. About 4 years.
Oh no, it's been longer than 4 years, Steve.
Okay, 4, 5, 6, however many.
I want to say it's been 6 or 7 years now.
Okay.
So since then, I think this is the longest that I've gone without brewing a fresh batch.
Yeah. When you say since the beginning, a lot of people start thinking, dinosaurs, Jesus Christ.
Oh, no, I'm not talking in the biblical sense where, there was nothing and then there was something.
Yeah.
No, like 2014, Lady Gaga kind of time frame.
On the seventh day, he decided to home brew.
And it was good.
But yeah, we're having Adam on because we wanted to talk a little bit of home brewing, try to get caught up in the scene a little bit. And yeah, so Adam has graciously gifted us 3 of his own beers that he's brewed himself, and we wanted to talk about them tonight. And tonight we're going to start with one that he brewed specifically for October, and it's called Bash Cancer. So I'll let him take it away and tell us all about this beer.
Sure. So this is a blonde ale recipe I had from a few years ago that I've just kind of been tinkering with and changing the malts a little bit and switching up the hops a little bit. So we kind of had a blonde ale on the schedule for the fall time and decided to use a hop I got from Vancouver, British Columbia called Sasquatch.
I like it already.
Yeah. So we're like, we're going to do a Sasquatch blonde ale and see what this hop tastes like. So it's slightly hoppy for a blonde just because we weren't really sure what to expect. And then I think like 3 days before the brew day, we were discussing like, hey, it'd be cool if we could get this and do the we were kind of kicking around this charity idea to do a charity drive for breast cancer research. So we were like, we should brew a pink beer. And I'm like, well, this is only a blonde. It would be easy to turn a pink. Let's research how. And we decided to go with a hibiscus tea from Blue Monkey. And they're in, where are they located? They're in Oakland, I believe.
Nice and local. Okay.
So
Pittsburgh, Oakland, not California, Oakland.
Right, yeah, Pittsburgh. So yeah, and we used about a half a pound of tea in a 10-gallon batch and got a nice pink hue off of it, purple. It's kind of turning more purple as it sits in the keg, but and it gives it a nice tart, a little floral, a little bit of a tartness to it, a little lemon, along with the hoppies from that Sasquatch hops. And and we threw it. We're actually calling it Save the TTs, and it's our Bash Cancer headliner brew, I guess.
Nice. So, what kind of numbers would we be looking at on this beer? ABV, IBUs, things like that. Obviously, IBUs, I assume, are going to be kind of low.
Yeah, IBUs I don't really measure, but yeah, very low. Like in what your typical traditional blonde yield will be, a little bit on the higher end. ABV is 5.5.
Nice. Good drinker then.
Yeah.
I say, yeah, I have mine poured out. And you are correct that going for the pink purple hue. Yeah, I was very surprised when I poured this out of the bottle at first because I was expecting, just a regular beer colored beer. And as soon as it hit the glass, I go, this is way different. So you definitely nailed it on this one for sure.
Yeah, and you even get like a pretty cool like pink hue in the head on it too.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that as well. Yeah, so well executed on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll say for me, it does look a bit like cranberry juice, but I was surprised that you have that little bit of pink head.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a neat thing. You don't see that too often, if at all.
Ooh. So I took a sip. I kind of jumped ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you had a sip yet or not, Steve, but I think you're gonna like this one. This one brings the tea for sure.
Yeah, so I've been drinking on it a little bit because I was trying to solve technical issues, and that's what I do. But
drinking does solve all technical issues, one way or another.
Yeah, it definitely has like a nice smooth tea flavor to it, but it's not overly powering in an herbaceous way, if that makes sense. Yeah,
that's a 50-cent word.
Yes. But yeah, it has a nice tea flavor to it, but it's not I would say it's pretty balanced overall because it's not overly hoppy, even though you were saying it's probably more hoppy than your average blonde ale. But you still get a decent malt backbone, and it's still generally refreshing.
Yes, and I think the slightly hoppiness does pair well with that tea as well. I think the tea needs something to kind of play with a little bit, and I think it works out really well with this.
Yeah, I would say so as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the charity you were doing with this. So as we know, for home brewers, we're not allowed to sell beer.
Right.
But if you make a donation and you happen to get a bottle.
Correct. Yeah, that's kind of how we are using. Yeah, that's kind of how we're wording it on our end. So we kind of put it out there on our social media and a couple groups we belong to that, if you donate $10, you will get a sticker for your donation, and then you will be gifted 2 beers of your choice. So, of course, the one we headed with was the Save the TT's Hibiscus Blonde here. And then the other 2 we're drinking today, the Apple Fritter Ale called Oh My God, Look at That Face. And then our Pumpkin Roll Stout called Shatfaced. So those 3 beers were kind of made available. And I've kind of like started accepting donations and orders and setting pickups and drop-offs and everything else. But the organization it's going to is called A Glimmer of Hope Foundation. And they're located here in Pittsburgh. And we chose them because they kind of gather up funds and then send it to different cancer centers around the Pittsburgh area, like probably the Tri-County or surrounding counties, the Allegheny County area, for any cancer centers that need research equipment or anything else to enable them to do research. And I felt that was important because I know it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month and there's breast cancer awareness charities, but I feel like the awareness is there, and now it's time to actually fight this thing. So,
now we got to do something about it.
Yeah. I wanted to find a research charity. And instead of picking one of the cancer centers, I felt like I'll give it to them, and they distribute everything they receive. So,
yeah,
very nice.
Good deal.
Yeah, not to throw shade at any specific charity, but some of them are more just front-facing awareness groups. Whereas it sounds like this Glimmer of Hope group is much more practical of actually putting the money to work with actual equipment and resource. So
yeah, and I never reached out to them about doing it. I just tagged them when we started,
Mhm.
and they reached out and have been very kind and
That's fantastic.
checking with me on how it's going and stuff. So everybody with that organization has been very nice,
right on.
on top of everything. So it's
So-
it's been rewarding.
So with this beer, was this a single batch beer that you made, or did you make this beer multiple times to be able to fit demand?
We just made it one time. We're brewing. It's a 10-gallon batch, but I squeezed like 11 gallons out of it. And with getting all 3 batches that size, and then saying pick 2, like so I'm not giving like a 6-pack to any one person. We've been able to stretch it. We just kicked the Fritter this week actually. So and that's the first one to go, but we still have I'd say about a half a keg to 3/4 keg of the hibiscus tea blonde and the pumpkin roll stout.
Nice.
So we're doing pretty good. I think we're gonna make it to the end of the month. We also started a raffle this week since the beer is getting low, and for $2 for Venmo, you have the chance to win a baseball hat and a Bash Brew T-shirt.
Right
Awesome.
on, right on.
To kind of make that last little push to the finish line.
Yeah, and you guys will be accepting donations till the end of the month, and
Yeah.
if they want to,
the first couple of days of November, if there's people that are still hitting me up regularly, but yeah, pretty much till October 31st.
right on. And
Awesome.
if people want to get in on that raffle, they just search at Bash Brew on the.
At Bash Brew on Venmo, and just send me your contact information, like a phone number or email. So if you win, I can get a hold of you, and that's it. And yeah, for every $2, you get a raffle number. So
Cool.
Awesome.
You can also check out all the. You can check out the hat and everything on at Bash Brew on Instagram. I know.
At Bash_Brew on Instagram, and then if you just search Bash Brew on Facebook, we have a page on there too.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
Cool. So you were talking about how you did a 10-gallon batch production for the Save the TT's beer as well as for the Shatfaced and the Apple Fritter. Is that a normal like home brewing schedule for you? Because I know Adam and I, Hop Nation Adam and I.
You're gonna have to make that distinction all night, Steve.
Yep. So when we brewed, I don't know, we're maybe on a once every quarter schedule.
Yeah, maybe a little more frequent than that. You're usually pretty good about coming up with recipes and kind of nudging me along as well.
Yeah,
because a little more often than that.
Yeah. Well, we would do 2 batches in that brew day as well.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
That's true.
yeah. But how common is it for you to brew? Is this like an extra heavy workload that you put in for October, or are you pretty frequent with it?
Actually the beers we got ready for the charity drive, it was like in our normal schedule, which was just I have a 10-gallon system basically, so it was just every other Saturday typically we brew. Me and my wife Lori and my buddy, since the pandemic, my buddy Matt Anderson has gotten in as kind of my co-brewer, because we got the 10-gallon system up and running like mid-June, and I always need a brew assistant to keep the beer where it's supposed to be going.
It makes things so much easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. So he's volunteered his services every Saturday gladly to come and drink beer and brew some beer. And then my wife's always here. But on days she has to go to work, then me and Matt are down here brewing up. But I only increased the schedule I brewed the last 3 weekends in a row just to get beer back in my kegs from the event. But leading up to the event, we just kind of plotted them out so that I'll be ready relatively soon. Oh my God, look at that face. Apple Fritter came out halfway through October. But I told everybody at the beginning it was being made, and if they wanted it, they can order it, and I just contacted them when it was ready.
So on your brewery schedule, do you plan things out, weeks and months in advance, or you just sort of say, all right, I know I have a brew day, and say that Tuesday or Wednesday, I just sort of say, I think I'm going to do a porter, or I'm going to do an IPA. Is it just sort of, whatever hits you, or do you have things planned out 6-8 weeks in advance?
It's been like 6-8 weeks in advance lately. Before we started doing the homebrew competitions and stuff, it was kind of more on a whim.
Mhm.
But we started doing competitions a little over 2 years ago, and we're planning like what we wanted to take to the competitions. Then once COVID hit this year, yeah, I just lined up a bunch of recipes I wanted to do. So I was brewing when COVID initially hit. We were still on our 5-gallon system, and I was probably brewing every weekend because we were just in complete lockdown. So I'd find a way to get ingredients from either More Beer or the local beer store, whoever was open and had supplies.
I was going to ask about that. How were you able to cope with that during the shutdown in terms of getting ingredients and things like that? Did you kind of have to simplify the playbook, or how did you get through that?
Yeah, if it was a more, there were sometimes we had to switch the weeks up and do like a simpler brew, because if it was something we needed to get from More Beer, there was like a 2 to 3 week delay because they're trying to get stuff ready for the pro brewers. So
Right.
they would get anything delivered to our front door. They were still honoring their free shipping and everything. We were grateful for that, but yeah, sometimes we just had to shift it around. We used some alternative, mostly yeast was kind of low quantities. So we substituted some yeasts that we normally wouldn't use, but other than that, we could get a hold of almost everything.
Good. So you didn't have to go in on a Saturday morning and put together some sort of Franken beer and hope that it worked with whatever you had laying around.
Thankfully not.
Scraps, mutt.
Sometimes those are the best ones, and you can never replicate them.
Sometimes they do turn out well. I mean, I can't lie. Sometimes there's just like a pound of malt that's been sitting uncrushed for a couple months. And I'm like, you're going in this beer.
Yep. Going for a ride.
Yep.
So since COVID, have you been able to enter any brew competitions, or like have those basically gone completely away?
No, they're basically gone. I mean, I'm sure there's some national ones where you can like send your beer in still. But we were doing like the local kind of festivals and stuff where it's like in-person sampling. So for us, they've been gone.
Yeah. That's usually what we did too. Like we were scheduled to do one in, well, what was it? It was originally going to be August.
Yes.
And then it got moved to October, and then it got canceled outright or something like that.
And now it's 2021 with a question mark.
Right. To be determined. But yeah, with all of that happening, again, we kind of just fell out of the scene for, the little that we were in it. Because, I mean, we weren't part of any homebrew clubs or anything. We're just two renegades.
Right.
That's how you're going to market us, Steve?
Yep.
Two renegades with a propane burner and a dream.
That's right. A dream of putting goofy ass shit in beer.
I'll be honest. One of the other things, like for me personally, I kind of shifted away from homebrewing a little bit this year as well, because I also wanted to support a lot of the local breweries to, make sure that they were still up and viable as well. So I kind of shifted my purchasing power, what little I had, to kind of, make sure that all the breweries around Pittsburgh were able to keep their doors open as well. And that got the beer fridge open or full really quick.
Yeah.
So I never really had that kind of, push to say, hey, I need more beer. I should just make some.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's good to hear. We've done the same. I mean, we've got so much beer sitting around the house. But, yeah, we would always try to it was kind of like a Saturday morning tradition. Like, would order online from almost every week. Would hit Abjuration up because they're real local to us, and then Insurrections real local to us too. And then picking up the Couch or Intergroove or somebody else, and then would drive around and pick up all the beer and then come home and brew. And, that was just our one time out on a Saturday, and then back to quarantine. But yeah, we definitely filled up, and we had to get creative on how to get rid of our home brew so we could brew more. Could only sit on too many kegs. I ended up buying a 6-tap Keezer during quarantine.
Oh my!
To put kegs in there because I only had a 2-tap kegerator upstairs. So we expanded our serving quantity and put out the feelers to, hey, anybody that needs a growler of beer, just stop over.
So, do you have all six taps employed right now?
We have four of them.
Nice.
What do you have on them?
So it's the 3 we're drinking tonight, and then there's a cucumber wheat on the 4th.
Oh,
Ooh.
I got to ask about that one. How did that one come to be?
That one I did in my, like, one of the first recipes I put together was the cucumber wheat. And I was out of town on a work conference and staying at a nicer hotel than I would ever book for myself. And you go down to the lobby in the morning and they have the pitcher of cucumber water there. So I'm like, ooh, fancy. Let me try that. And I'd go down there and drink it every morning. I was like, that is super refreshing. And it was like probably March or April. I'm like, I wonder if you could make a beer with cucumber water. And, I got home and the summer months were coming and I was just doing 5-gallon batches for myself and a couple of friends. I was actually living in DC at the time. So I was just like, I'll slice up some cucumbers. I looked up on some of the forums and they said like skin them and people put them in the mash, people put them in the boil, people put them in the fermenter. So I just threw them in the last 10 minutes of the boil, like washed them real good, threw them in the boil. So if there was anything funky about them, it would boil off. And the flavor came through wonderfully. And it was just in like a wheat clone recipe I had for something. And so I just kept tinkering with it and it turned out pretty well. Going to the bigger system, it takes a lot more cucumbers. It's
Sure.
still turned out.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that the cucumber flavor was able to come out that prominently because I assume that it's kind of, a fairly watery vegetable. A lot of that flavor would just sort of dissipate rather quickly. That's good to know that you were able to pull that flavor out.
Yeah, I was surprised. I don't know if that wateriness helps it carry through the beer or what, but I was pretty surprised because I was completely ready to like dry hop some more cucumber if I needed it, but I didn't need to do that. So it worked out. And then we throw a little lemongrass in there for a little bit of a little flavor and more for the aroma.
Yeah,
kind of good with the cucumber. And yeah, that one turns out pretty well. We do that at least once every summer.
Nice.
That makes sense. We I believe it was like 2018. Now, and I'll ask you about this in a minute, but like we went to Cooper's Lake, Adam and I did. Adam, Hop Nation USA.
There
Adam.
you go.
We went to Cooper's Lake, and it seemed like everybody was on the cucumber and or pickle train of making like those cucumber wheats, or I believe we even had a cucumber seltzer. And it was surprising that like so many people were able to, just nail that refreshingness, but also maintain the flavor. So yeah, it's funny how like everybody seems to get the same idea once. and that year it was everybody was cucumbers and there was a lot of jalapeno beers as well.
I was a fan of those, Alan.
Yeah. But
I do like a good
Mhm.
yeah. But my question is, so like you've competed in a lot of places. Have you were you ever able to experience Cooper's Lake up in Butler?
We went for our first time last year, and supposedly that's the last year it was
Yeah.
Yep.
going to be going on. But yeah, I had a blast. It was really sad. Like we came home and I couldn't stop talking about it. And was like, we're doing that every year. We're bringing 4 more beers next year. And that was it. That was the last year. I was just super bummed.
Yeah. We were kind of broken up about it too.
Mhm.
For anybody who doesn't know, Cooper's Lake was an event up near Moraine State Park in Butler, PA, where everybody, like, it was just home brewers camping for a weekend, and you could go up and potentially sample 130 some beers. Like,
We tried our damnedest. We couldn't get anywhere close to that number.
yeah. But yeah, it was a lot. And but it was a good time because like that was also like where we met like Bobby Nacho, because he was still home brewing for one of the club, like he was representing one of the clubs up there.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, he's actually the one that talked us into going.
Yeah.
We were
Very nice.
doing that and doing a competition somewhere else. And he's like, don't even sign up. He's like, come to Cooper's. Like, so Nacho's the reason we ended up there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Him and a couple other homebrewers from Door Top out in Greensburg.
Okay.
They were like, don't do that competition. We're not going. Go to Cooper. Like, all right. Twisted my arm just a little bit. That's all I needed.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot more fun, that event. I was sad that I only found out about it 2 years before it ended, but then, it ended last year, so shame.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is Hop Nation USA has an opportunity to resurrect that.
Sure. You just got
On
to
our
open up,
terms.
You just got to open up that wallet, Skinflint.
And so if anybody wants to sponsor this, I don't know, Caterpillar diesel engines, they can throw some money our way.
We'll talk to like some CBD company. They'll sponsor anything.
They got to get their name out there.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that. We can get John Fetterman involved.
Sure. Yeah. Get his wife involved.
Yeah.
Sure.
They've got clout.
Yeah. She'll, like help us get sponsorship from Funyuns if you followed their Twitter at all.
I love that. That's fantastic. Just a pillowcase of Funyuns on the couch.
But so aside from that really fun Cooper's Lake event, has there been any homebrew events that you've participated in that you thought like really stood out and that you hope come back one day?
Yeah, well, I can like pick one for each season. I'll just name a couple real quick. Rhapsody and Brew out in Lawrenceville. We've done that 2 years in a row, and that was great. The Oakwood, or not Oakwood, Oakmont Yacht Club.
Mm-hmm.
Through one every year, and that was actually the first one we ever did. And I was kind of nervous because I was like, "Oh, Yacht Club, do I need my, Bermuda shorts?"
Get your Sperry's.
But it was just an outdoor beer fest right off the river, and it was great. I'll do that one all the time. And then the True Homebrew Club typically every October throws it's called Brewing Up a Cure.
Hell yeah.
And that one goes to charity, and that one was a blast. That one had a huge turnout last year on the brewer side and the attendee side.
I said, I've been there multiple years on the attendee side, and I always look forward to it. It's always a great time.
So I don't think that one's going anywhere. I don't think any of them are probably going anywhere. But I really hope at least those three come back. Yeah. And honestly, we've never done a bad one. Greensburg holds one for their craft beer week that's put together really well.
Oh, that's good to hear. I know we talk about it every year it comes up, but like we've never participated or went, but we just like supporting home brewing. But
that one's
good to know that that's a good one out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and like again, also vouch for Brewing Up a Cure, and then I believe it was Brian Llewellyn who was going to put on, like he also works with the Shriners to put on a homebrew fest, which is what we were going to participate in. But he also has participated in that Oakmont Yacht Club, as well as so it's Creekside Brews. It's not Creekside Beers. That's different from the distro. There's Creekside Beers, and those guys also do the Oakmont, and they actually won it one year, and I believe their winning recipe went on to become a smoked saison at Hop Farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That was our first competition we were ever at. Was the one they won with that beer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
right next to us. Super intimidating.
Well,
we would actually have been against you guys at North Hills. We were going to do that one with Brian Llewellyn for the first time this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very nice.
It's not really
with a little bit of luck, we'll see you there in 2021.
Yeah.
It's not really It's not really a competition against us. We're just kind of there. We have stuff to drink.
Field fillers.
Yeah. Don't feel too bad about feeling intimidated by the guys from Creekside, because the first homebrew competition Ab and I ever participated in was at Wiggle Whiskey, and right next to us was Jake Beer of Beerport / Mexican War Streets, whatever the hell it's called. And he brought a pumpkin ale that just like blew everybody out of the water.
He just ate everybody's lunch with that one.
Yeah. So we're just like, oh, okay, well, that's fun. We had
We'll
a
take
good
our
time.
beatings and walk away.
Yeah, we had a good time, I guess. But yeah, it's good that hopefully these homebrew events can come back. They're always a good time. They're always a fun way to meet people in the community, as well
Mhm.
as you're more likely to try something you've never had before than at just like a regular homebrew or at a regular beer fest.
Yeah, absolutely. And they usually have a good cause behind them. At least some of the proceeds usually are going to a charity.
Mm-hmm. Like
Some
Brewing Up
sort
a
of
Cure always goes to cystic fibrosis, I
right.
believe.
Yeah, and even like the Oakmont one, I think they pick a charity every year to benefit a little bit and have them there to set up their booth and stuff. I know
Mhm.
that local pit bull charity was there this
Right,
year.
right.
And stuff. So there were a lot of cool dogs hanging around, and
Those guys like eggs.
Well, the other nice thing is on the beer side, with a lot of these bigger homebrew events, you can kind of see where beer is headed. What kind of different ingredients to what kind of styles are going to be kind of leading the pack. Like Steve, you had mentioned earlier about Cooper's Lake a year or so ago. Seltzers were coming into play there.
Mhm.
And on the commercial side, there's basically nothing. And now they're everywhere. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting one.
Right.
So it's nice to kind of see where things are going, because homebrewers are able to be a lot more experimental, and they're able to play a lot more. So you can see where things are going and where the trends are going to be coming from.
Yep. You get it's kind of a proving ground. Everybody sees what's possible, because you don't want to just put something in your tap room and sell it if it's ass. You don't want to like burn $10,000 on a shitty pilot batch or something. But
Right.
if you have something at a home brew fest and go, maybe I can replicate this, then yeah. But yeah, coming back around to the beer that we're drinking from Adam, the Save the TT's Bash Cancer Hibiscus Tea Blonde Ale. It's good beer.
It is a good beer,
Yeah.
especially if you like tea beers. And Steve, I know that's probably one of your top 3.
Dude, I've been crushing tea this week.
I believe it.
I've been on that Rubos. I had some of that Bigelow toasted coconut tea. I got my fucking Lapsang in.
Nice.
So, dude, fucking smoked tea is the shit. Hop Nation Adam.
Yes.
Bashline Adam, close your ears. But Hop Nation Adam, when we finally get back to home brewing,
Yes,
I might want to try a Lapsang tea ale.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna clean the kettle afterwards anyway, so
It's a possible thing. Yeah.
I'm good with that.
It tastes like fucking Schlenkerla tea.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the
okay.
shit.
You don't have to say anything more.
Yeah, it's the shit.
I already know you're in love with it.
Yeah. But I also do love the Save the TT's beer. It's good.
Yes, it is good. And like we had talked about earlier, it's nice and well balanced. It's not just tea leaves shoved in your face.
Right. Well balanced.
It's able to play.
It's refreshing. It's It's
And
all
it looks really neat too.
Yeah, it looks really neat. It's all the things that would be great for a spring beer. So
yeah, it's a little out of season in the fall, but
yeah, it still works though. So
yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
very good beer. I think we're going to take a little bit of a break now. We're going to come
reload,
back.
get another bottle up and running.
Yeah, we'll come back with a second beer, and we'll get to learn a little bit more about Adam Bashline and his history in homebrewing. Probably ask him if there's any beers that he's tried that he can't come up with. He just hasn't been able to make the work. Find out like what his weirdest beers are. So we'll get into all that in segment 2 coming up. Welcome back to episode 176 of the Hop Nation USA podcast. And we're still here with my Adam.
Aw.
And then we also have Adam Bashline, who's a home brewer in the Pittsburgh area. So yes, I'm here with them, and we're talking home brews, and we're drinking home brews.
Yes.
And the next home brew we're drinking is by Adam Bashline, and it's called Shatfaced, and it's an Imperial pumpkin roll ale. So, Adam, take it away. Tell us all about this beer.
Sure. So this one started for me, my favorite pumpkin beer in pumpkin season. It's kind of basic and it's really popular, but Warlock by Southern Tier.
Yup.
Is
I
always
have some
my
of that in
favorite.
my fridge as well.
Yeah. So I like a pumpkin in an amber ale or a brown ale, but I really like pumpkin in a stout. So we decided to. I did a clone one year, and then I was like, yeah, we could tweak that. And so I think it was last year for a festival. It was actually the Greensburg Festival. We went through and we were doing some crazy stuff like donuts and beer and all kinds of different pastries and beer. So it's brew day, and I was like, we should do something to this, when we move it to the secondary. And my wife was like, well, how about a pumpkin roll? And I was like, well, that's a great idea. I don't know about like cream cheese frosting in a beer. Like that might be too. And she's like, well, we'll just do it with like the roll and powdered sugar and will that work? Like how we're using everything else? Like we basically dry hop it. And I was like, yeah, that sounds wonderful. So we tried it, and there's pumpkin in the mash, but it's a very very dark colored stout, which is what we shoot for. It's a little lighter this year than last year, but it's typically super dark. Then chocolate malt, a little bit of roasty malt, lactose, a little bit of pumpkin spice, and then most of the flavors coming from an actual pumpkin roll being dry hopped into it the day before we keg it.
Nice. So was it a homemade pumpkin roll, or was that come from a bakery, or where did that come from?
She homemade them.
That's
So
awesome.
she homemade one. It's 1 per 5 gallons.
Nice.
She baked 1 last year, and she baked 3 this year because I wanted one to eat. So
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
beer and one for us.
One with the cream cheese.
That's really the best part. But yeah, so that's how it came about. Coming in about 8%.
Ooh, nice.
8.4 last year, 8% this year. We're still trying to dial in those bigger beers. I need a bigger mash tun to do these bigger beers.
Mhm.
We'll solve that problem soon enough.
Say, well, right now I've got a glass that's way too full. I got to change that.
Fix it.
Okay, I'm getting to it.
So yeah, I've just been sipping on it. It is. You said it started as a Warlock clone, but it is a lot sweeter than what Warlock is. Like it's definitely come out like a lot sweeter. You can tell it's more turned into its own thing of being a pumpkin roll ale because I can taste that pumpkin roll all throughout.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely shifted to try to get that creaminess and that sweetness in there of the filling. That's when we added the lactose.
Mm-hmm.
That started making it sweeter, and then it changed even more this year. A little bit sweeter, a little bit spicier this year.
But it still has a little bit of that stout bitterness to it as well. It doesn't lose all of its stoutness.
Right. Yeah, you can still get a little bit of that roasty bitterness on there.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna also say, it does have like a bit of a spice kick, like right up front when you first start drinking it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I enjoy that.
This is a damn fine beer.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It's appropriate for the season if you're into pumpkin beers. If you're into pumpkin beers that aren't typical, because this is a lot. Most pumpkin beers are the latte, like ale. That's all right. It tastes kind of like pumpkin, but this one is definitely more just treats and dark and heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a good campfire beer.
Yeah, it would make its I don't want to say namesake because it's not the namesake, but it's progenitor. Maybe is that the word?
I don't know. Is that a word?
No, progenitor is definitely a word. I don't know if it's the right one though.
I have no idea.
But yeah, wherever it came from,
All right.
It would make the Warlock proud in its legacy, is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I agree with that. Yes.
Right.
And not to be outdone, the label and the label artwork for this is fantastic as well.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have the original art right here.
Nice.
Look this way.
So what is the story behind the name, the artwork, and all that, the label and everything? I want to know everything because I absolutely love this label. I think it's great.
Thank you. So, I mean, a lot of our breweries, a lot of our names and label ideas and stuff come from pop culture references and stuff we're into and nerdy things. So, I mean, for me, when I get the name of the beer, a lot of it goes towards like 80s horror movies and heavy metal and stuff like that. So we were naming a bunch of weird ones, and I was trying to do like a whole series of pastry ones that had a horror theme to them, but like playful, like friendly. Like I didn't want it to be like Michael Myers is gonna kill you.
Murder beer.
Well, so we had a goofy one. We were coming back from a festival one day, and I was like, I got a great idea for that pumpkin beer. My wife's like, what? And I was like, we'll call it Shatfaced. And she just looked at me like, you immature. I'm like, no, hear me out. I was like, the Michael Myers mask is based on William Shatner. So you have Michael Myers in a Star Trek uniform drunk off his ass. And she's like, oh my God. She's like, that's actually a good idea.
It all comes together.
Yeah. And then she hand paints all of our signs. They started off as just signs for the beer competitions.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of pull the crowd in and, try it instead of, something to just grab their eye. But now it's turned into, especially with the shutdown, it's turned into, we just send them off, make them into beer labels or stickers and slap them on the bottles. But yeah, she hand paints all of our logos. So
yeah, you can definitely tell there's a lot of care in this one because you put it on the nice foil label.
Yes.
But yeah, I totally dig it as well. I love the aesthetic of it all.
Yeah.
Just thinking of Michael Myers getting drunk off his ass while wearing a Star Trek shirt is pretty damn funny.
So my compliments to the artist. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah, sadly enough, I think I had to tape all of those foil labels on the bottles because they do not stick well to a cold bottle.
Yeah, it's
as soon
fine.
as the bottle started to get condensation, they were just sliding off.
Mm-hmm. So with this one, did you have a portion of the batch go directly into bottles? Did you split bottles and kegs, or did you go all keg and then go into the bottles afterwards? How did you arrange that?
Yeah, I did it. We kegged all of it because especially this one and the next beer we're going to drink, they both have a bunch of residual sugar in them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to keep them cold with the refrigeration I have in my house. I was kind of bottling to order as the donations were coming in. So, I mean, it was a lot of days of sanitizing a bunch of stuff to like fill maybe only 10 to 12 bottles, but it was worth it. I mean, it was all a passion project. So it was definitely worth it. But yeah, we just kind of filled them to order. I have a bottling gun. So
I was going to ask, how did you go from keg to bottle to be able to keep the carbonation? Was it a bottling gun or some other method?
Yeah, I have a last straw bottling gun. So that was most of them.
Nice.
Some people that said they were drinking it that night, I just filled it off. I had like a growler hose and filled it right off the tap.
Mm-hmm.
I still purged the bottle with CO2, but I was like, I'm not going to hook everything up. It's easier to clean.
So just out of curiosity, what do you use to purge the bottles with CO2? How do you go about that with a homebrew setup?
So that last straw bottling gun actually you hook it up to the keg that's pressured, and there's another input on it that you can hook straight to a CO2 tank.
Okay.
You push a button on it and it shoots CO2 out of the one hose, and then you push it and it like counter pressure fills from the other with the beer.
Okay. That's awesome.
Which can be a mess if you're halfway through filling a bottle and your finger slips and you hit the CO2. I still find stout spots in my dining room from when I used to bottle upstairs.
Ooh.
So yeah, I got moved. The new setup is all in the basement, and we have like a little speakeasy bar with our drafts and stuff down here and a couple bottles of liquor.
A good dedicated space.
Yeah, COVID also helped with that. We had a lot of time to work on the basement, and I gave my wife her dining room and kitchen back, and the stove still doesn't look quite right, but I'm not using it every Saturday now. So
That's also how you get more pumpkin rolls, though.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
So anybody who knows home brewing and just kind of getting into the hobby, it's an ever evolving thing of buying new toys and constantly upgrading your system. Uh, you're telling us right now that you're on like a 10-gallon system, but before, pre-pandemic, you're a 5-gallon. Like how have you evolved? And just, you can take us back to the beginning. Like, how long have you been homebrewing, and then like how much has that evolved? And have you made it to the step where you're just like all electric now?
So it started back in, it's really tough. I think it was December 2013. I got like a little home brewer starter kit you see on Northern Brewer and Midwest Brew Supply. They're just starter kit with the buckets, extract kit. My dad got it for me for Christmas, and he got my brother a wine kit of a similar size. So I brewed my first batch, bottled it, tasted pretty good. But I was already really into craft beer. So I just got hooked. I immediately upgraded the kettle like for the next batch. I was in like a 2-bedroom apartment in Virginia. So it was stovetop, like making a super extract, super high gravity, like 3-gallon batch, and then filling it with like spring water I bought at the store in gallons. So I felt like it was pretty good water. And that's how I would get to 5-gallon batches down there. Then when I moved back to Pittsburgh, had a house, I went and just was brewing 5-gallon, brewing a bag up in the kitchen. Our burners were strong enough to get us to a boil after some time, but it would eventually get there. So stepped that up, got a keg, started kegging shortly after that, bought a kegerator. That changed a ton from bottle conditioning and putting everything in bottles. I mean, huge time saver. Then from there, we started competitions. So I got a jockey box to serve kegs at the competition, so I didn't have to bottle for those either.
Don't worry, Steve. I'm taking notes on all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
We kind of like upgraded the ferment. Like, it was little stuff from there. Like, went to stainless steel fermenters. I still use some plastic. I mean, there's nothing wrong with plastic, but just I mainly got stainless steel fermenters as gifts, and then they're really nice, so I bought another one. Then we bought the 10-gallon batch off of another home brewer that was downsizing. So we got a deal on that. I bought the Keyser off of a home brewer that was downsizing a few months later. So now we have a ton of kegs floating around. And then bought 2 big, I just bought my first temperature controlled fermenter, stainless steel Blickman, used off of another home brewer that was upscaling. So, I just kind of keep my eyes peeled. I mean, the home brew community in Pittsburgh is super friendly. I mean, they're really nice. So sometimes when people hear about it or getting rid of their stuff, they'll contact me because they knew I just got a new system and was brewing. But we're actually not electric down here. We are natural gas. I tapped in my hot water tanks in the same room I'm talking to you in now. So we tapped into the gas, into the hot water heater and the water. So I have another sink off to the side here that's got a filter on it. And then you can kind of see above me here, we have a ventilation system that blows out my out a window to get all the carbon monoxide out.
Right.
So, and we have a carbon monoxide detector down here.
Nice.
To make sure we're not getting any carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
But so we still kept it. I bought it as a propane setup. My dad, right after I bought it, retired from many years of working in HVAC. So he was able to hook up the natural gas for me and hook up the water and did the electric in here and everything. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that made it a lot easier. Me and him kind of had a bonding project down here in the basement and got that. This was just an unfinished workshop. So there was like a tool bench in here, but that was it. Everything else was like exposed insulation and everything before we started.
That's it. From what I'm seeing in the background, it looks like you've got a really good setup going. I like it.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Nice.
for our YouTube watchers, you'll be able to look at Adam's
You'll have to
setup.
wait till Monday for that one.
Right. But it's there. You'll get to see it. But yeah, it's a really nice setup. And again, I hope Hop Nation, Adam, you were taking notes because
I was.
Your biggest complaint is always you don't want to brew in the winter because it's cold.
It's true.
It's
damn true.
I don't think Bashline has that problem. So
No.
I'm actually looking forward to the winter because it gets up to like 130 degrees in here.
Oh.
When it's 90 outside, it gets real hot in here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to brewing in the winter. But yeah, if you guys need any tips, I don't have all the like cool equipment, but I research it a lot and like dream about buying it. So.
Put it on the Christmas list and hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I live that life.
Next up is definitely a bigger mash tun. The boil kettle's doing well, but I need a bigger mash tun for those Imperials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta really, really load those up with a whole bunch of fucking goofy shit. So you obviously have been doing this for a while. You've upgraded your system. You're on a basically once every other week schedule now, and you're planned out for weeks ahead.
Yeah, we're planned out through New Year's right now.
Okay.
Wow.
So I guess I'll ask two-part question. One, what's planned through New Year's into 2021? And two, what is going to be new? Like, is there any recipes in there that you've never tried before?
Yeah, sure. So right now, actively fermenting in the other room, we have a double IPA. It's technically hazy because it is hazy, but it's a lot of the West Coast classic style hops. So it's kind of like your hazy New England malt characters with like Centennial and Columbus, and there's some Citra and there's some Mosaic in it, but it's mostly those West Coast, I guess for lack of a better term, heritage hops like that were in all the classic West Coast styles. So we got that coming, and we have a vanilla stout, also fermenting right now. And then I think next weekend we're brewing, which is new for us. It's going to be a sweet potato casserole brown ale.
Ooh.
So it's going to be caramelized sweet potatoes in the mash, and then some marshmallow syrup and brown sugar added to the keg, right at kegging, to keep that residual sweetness. So kind of bringing that Thanksgiving favorite to a beer.
Yeah.
So that'll be a new one for us. And then for December, I know we are planning on doing our cherry cheesecake ale.
Ooh.
In early December, and then around Christmas time we'll be releasing a cranberry honey. It's called a cavassier. It's like an old it's European. I can't remember.
Sounds French.
Yeah. So it's a high ABV honey cranberry beer. It's like one of the ancient ale styles, I believe, and that's a pretty high ABV. And then for New Year's we will be doing our little bit of the bubbly brute ale. It's like a Bellini brute ale for New Year's. So a little champagne-y.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Peach puree in it. So we'll probably have another one in November. We'll have to see how the weeks shake out and if I have keg room. But for right now, that's the schedule from now until New Year's.
That sounds like a killer lineup.
Yeah. Thank you.
So have you done the cherry cheesecake before?
Yeah, everything else we've done except that sweet potato casserole one.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Just because I know I've seen, again, we were talking about trends, and I feel like I've been seeing cherry cheesecake a lot more frequent nowadays.
Yeah.
Because, let's see, there's the one from Grist House, Adam, you had on a previous episode.
I did.
Then Hightower is pushing one that, pushes one a lot.
Mhm.
And I've seen a couple other ones on social media here and there.
Yeah, I'm not even making this up. We did that one for a competition. I think it was the Rhapsody and Brew one. And like the week we were doing the festival, Grist House announced they were releasing. So it was like just complete coincidence. And I was like, oh, we were a little bit ahead of the trend, I think.
Right.
We win.
Yeah, because we did that 2 years ago for Rhapsody and Brew, and that was actually our first beer that won.
Nice.
Nice.
So yeah, we try to do that one every year. It's super intensive on actual brew day, and then everything we put in the fermenter and the kegs afterward too. It's just a ton of adjuncts, but it turns out pretty good.
Right on.
I'd say it's an award winner, so it's got to be good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I'll definitely become hunting around for that one again.
Mhm.
Yeah, hit me up.
All right.
So
Go ahead, Steve.
I was going to ask, so is there any possible styles that you haven't been able to perfect or, tackle at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, now with the temperature controlled fermenter, we can lager if we want to. But the very first thing I want to do with that is a cream ale. It's like one of the classic styles I really like to drink especially in the summer months.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So me and actually a buddy of mine's moving up from the Richmond area here in a couple weeks. So that might be our other November beer. It's a little out of season, but I promised him as soon as he gets back to Pittsburgh, we'd do a cream ale together. So
Nice.
that should be coming pretty soon. But yeah, nothing like super weird. The sweet potato one just kind of hit us a few weeks ago. But yeah, I really want to do cream ale. I would really like to do an Oktoberfest next year. And just some nice crisp lagers eventually.
Nice. So I'll go the exact opposite line of questioning that Steve's been using. But what was the first beer that you brewed that was your own recipe that you considered a success?
I would have to say it was either that cucumber wheat, but we already talked about that. So I would say I did a honey double IPA that we call Jojinator, which has probably been the beer we brewed the most here. And that one started off of my love for Bell's and their Hop Slam that they release every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't clone the recipe or anything. I just took a West Coast recipe I had been working on. And then I was like, I like honey, but I think it would be fun with kind of a citrus note. So we use orange blossom honey in it instead of honey. And it gives it that little bit of citrus, gives it a little bit of a vanilla character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just awesome. And it's just a bunch of Centennial hops and mostly Centennial for bittering and then Citra dry hop.
Nice.
And it just turns out like a nice, clear IPA.
Yeah, I could definitely get behind that.
Yeah, they could still make clear IPAs in this world.
Yeah. And they taste pretty damn good.
Unfortunately, you kind of already ruined my next question of which one is the one that you usually brew the most, or if you had to use this phrase, I don't want to use this phrase, but I'm going to anyways, what would you consider your flagship?
Yeah, you did ruin it. That would probably be the one. And if I had to brew a style forever, it would be, I'm not going to pick hazy or West Coast, but I'd pick IPAs. I have the most those.
Makes sense. I mean, who doesn't, aside from Hop Nation, Adam, who doesn't really like IPAs? So, yeah.
There are certain ones. There are certain ones that I enjoy.
I know. I don't know all the styles, but I feel like IPAs are just the biggest sandbox. There's so much to play with in those, with all the different hops, and if you want it dry or if you want it sweet, hazy, clear, I don't know. There's just a lot of variation in that.
I personally feel like the stouts are the biggest sandbox with the number of fat treats that you can throw into the.
That's true. That is definitely my second favorite to drink and to brew.
Little Debbie's got pumpkin cakes out this year. Okay.
Guess what?
I guess I know what's going in the bash.
They're going for a ride. And speaking of, with a fantastic, nice little transition there.
You did it.
Yeah, we did it. The Shatfaced, the pumpkin roll stout. There's the roll in.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this is really good.
Yeah.
There's no bones about it.
Yeah, it's always fun when you come across a homebrew that can easily rival professional brews,
Mhm.
and this is one of them.
Yes.
And it's also funny because, like, I mean, pumpkin ales in general, like they have their rap about them, especially as now July has become the release season for pumpkin ales. Jesus Christ. But and there's obviously lesser ones out there. Like there's some real bad pumpkin beers out there. But it's nice to drink something from a home brewer that like just completely blows those shitty ones out of the water.
Mhm.
Like
kind of restores the faith a little bit.
you kind of want to send a bottle to those breweries and then just say stop. Like just
Do
stop.
this instead.
Well, not do this instead. Just stop what you're doing. Because what you're doing is wrong, and just get out of that gimmick. You're doing it bad.
Just basically get back in your lane where you belong.
Yeah, go do whatever else you like, but stop doing that pumpkin beer that takes up shelf space, because the ones that you do bad.
Mhm.
There are home brewers all across this country, like smoking you. Just stop it.
Thank you,
Ooh.
guys.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
I promise you, this didn't hit the fermenters till September.
Mm.
So it was-
Good.
Well, yeah, that's the other
Yeah.
thing, is we know that home brewers are much more on a schedule that's more relative to season
Mhm.
than
This is a calendar correct beer.
yeah. This was not planned by a corporation.
No.
Well, we got to start marketing in July, and and then we'll release August 1st, and then it's in the get-go stacked up for 5 months.
That it's on the clearance rack by September 15th.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
I'm not mad at all. No, sir.
It's whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, this is a really good one, and again, it also has the very amusing label that I appreciate. I assume your wife does all of the artwork for everything that you have.
Yeah,
So-
she did the logo for us. She did. I mean, I have some input, and then I give her like a stick figure drawing, and she
Right.
She interprets.
Yeah,
You-
she kills it.
You give her crayons on a napkin, and then she turns it into actual art.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, very good beer. I think we're gonna take a break. We're
Yeah.
gonna load up with a third beer, and that third beer also has a good label that's also in the same vein as this one, but we'll talk about it then. And we're going to put Adam Bashline to the test because we're doing Beerify It 2 weeks in a row.
This is unprecedented.
Unprecedented, but he's a home brewer, so why wouldn't we do Beerify It?
That's right in the wheelhouse.
Yes, but this time he's going to do it, and we're going to give him some of his favorite things to brew a beer in honor of. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, dude, this is a fantastic beer. This
Glad
is
you like it.
Yeah.
check
Yeah,
plus.
It really is killer.
This one's definitely getting the best feedback through
Mm.
the month of October. So, and this was our second award winner. We won Greensburg with this one last year.
Oh, nice.
I can see why.
Yeah.
Which it was crazy because it was in like late September. So I'm like, yeah, pumpkin season.
Mhm.
And we show up on the festival day and it was like 92 degrees. I'm like, awesome. Our 8.5% pumpkin stout's going to do great.
All
It is
weather is stout weather.
Right.
But it still worked. Yep, it still worked.
I mean, it's interesting because of how many times we've seen pumpkin beers win, like brewing competitions. Because I mean, they do have that stigma about them, but like when they're done right, they can win because they have a mass appeal. Like you have your jaded, cynical people like myself and even pro brewers, but then it also just appeals to regular people. And like when they're good, they're really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, this one was a fight this year, just upping it to the bigger system. It was like the adjuncts just didn't come through enough the first round, and we had to go back and add more. And it turned out well, at least.
I agreed. Yeah, I think you won on this one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Great. We'll be
See
right
you in a
back.
minute.
Welcome back to episode 176 of the Hop Nation USA podcast. We're still here with Adam, who's from Hop Nation USA.
Yes, yes, you are.
But we're also here with Adam, who's from Bash Brew, Pennsylvania,
Hey,
in the USA.
Wait a minute.
I got my own town.
Moving up in the world real quick.
Bash Brew. Hey, you guys want to go down Bash Brew, Pennsylvania?
I feel like
Yeah.
that would definitely be Greene County.
They got space down there. They can open up new towns down there.
That's right.
I mean, surely if you have enough money, you can start just purchasing towns and renaming them as you please.
And eventually a Dollar General will show up, and then you're golden from that point.
A Dollar
forward.
General will always show up. I was actually surprised to find a Dollar General in my town. It just popped up in a place I didn't expect. So yeah,
That's the way Dollar General operates.
yeah. But yes, we're still here, and we're still talking homebrews, and we're still drinking homebrews, and that means we're on to our third homebrew by Adam Bashline of Bash Brew, Pennsylvania, and it's called "Oh My God, Look at That Face." It is an apple fritter ale, and it also has a wonderful label. But we'll let Adam Bashline talk all about that.
Sure. So the oh my God, look at that face. It's just my weird little sense of humor, but I always joked with my wife that I was a huge Taylor Swift fan, which I don't really feel one way or the other about her. I don't really particularly listen to her too much, but her Blank Space is the song. I can't remember the song, but we were listening to the song. I was like, there's so many, like, if you put this to like different music, it's very dark. Like, so I was like, we could like parody horror movies using these lyrics. So she was like, oh, well, like, what do you mean? I was like, oh my God, look at that face. And it could be like Leatherface, like, so the label is her and Leatherface hanging out in the kitchen, and she's chopping up some apples with a chainsaw. And I got edited a lot on my ideas for the label, is them being gruesome. So she made it a little more all audience friendly. Did a wonderful job on it. But yeah, it's kind of the true goal to it, and we have a couple named after Taylor Swift lyrics, and she's on the sign and everything. I'm just trying to get a cease and desist letter I can hang up in the brewery, Taylor Swift, and then I'll rename all the beers. But yeah, that's the true goal of them, and just to have a little fun.
Can't get a cease and desist if you're not making money on it. Fun fact.
We'll have to change that part.
Take that, Tay Sweezy.
You can still try. I'll still hang it up.
Yeah, they can still send the letter. It's just you don't have to do anything about it.
Right. What are you gonna do with my non-income on this non-beer?
Take money from charity?
Yeah, not gonna do that.
Mm-mm.
I can say though, on the nose of the beer, like you get a lot of apple and cinnamon, like right up front.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming since I've had a lot of apple fritters in my time, that there is both apple and cinnamon in this.
Correct. Absolutely. So it is I don't even know what the beer style started as, but it is a oat heavy, and it is there's a maltster called Viking malt from Europe again, because I don't remember the country. One of the countries Vikings came from. But they make something called cookie malt, which is kind of like a toastier version of a biscuit malt. That gives a really nice pastry character to things. So it's an oat pastry, and then of course a bunch of base malt. And then we add, and it's actually brewed as a really clean beer, other than a couple specialty malts. Like, it's just a very low hopped, decent on the ABV. I think it's at about 6.5. But then once it's done fermenting, we dry hop Cinnamon Toast Crunch into it for the cinnamon and the kind of the pastry feel of it. And then it is apple juice is the apple, because we
Okay.
found
Okay.
that kind of permeates the beer best as an apple. To get apple in there, and it's like a frozen concentrate, so it's already frozen. It's
Okay.
fermented beer. So we just add a frozen block of apple juice to the keg and kind of shake it up every once in a while for the first couple of days. It's carbing.
Nice.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
On the taste, it does kind of have a bit of a little bit of a cider vibe to it,
Yeah.
but not too much to kind of fool you. It's kind of like, oh, it kind of feels cidery, but you can still tell it is 100% a beer.
Yeah, I was actually getting, and now that you explained that it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I was actually getting like a cereal back end to it, which it was like throwing me for a little bit. I'm like, why does this taste like cereal? But now I know because there was actual cereal in it.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite adjuncts to use is like different cereals and in different beers. The cherry cheesecake one we were talking about in the last segment, we put golden grams in it to get the graham cracker.
Very nice.
It's just a really nice adjunct to add a little sweetness and whatever flavor you're looking for.
And it's readily available. You don't have to work too hard to get it.
It's not too expensive. I mean, I feel like it's a little risky adding it to a beer. Just you don't know if it could get something in it, but we haven't had a problem with it yet. Oh, that's something that's one of the advantages we were talking about earlier of being a home brewer. You can take that risk and you might lose 5 or 10 gallons, and you learn your lesson.
Right.
Yeah, we want to put that into a multi-$1,000 batch of beer.
Right. And the other thing is you don't have to worry about the PLCB rules and regulations or anything like that.
Right.
Because I know there's certain regulations about using tinctures and things like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that if you're in your garage or your brew space. Just run with it. Don't hurt anybody. You'll be fine.
Absolutely.
We've definitely thrown Carolina Reaper vodka into a stout before. So
Yes.
And that Carolina Reaper vodka had to be made through tincture. So yeah.
In my kitchen.
Yeah.
And it stayed there for a while.
Yeah. And it burns your nose when you smelled it just as a concentrate.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
made you cough. Ha ha. But yes, those are the fun things you can do with home brewing that fall outside of the law that you don't have to worry about. You can also put weed in it if you really want to.
We are not advocating that. We are not distracting from that or detracting from that.
I am advocating.
I officially cannot.
I want people to figure out the psilocybin homebrew. That's why I want people to figure out next.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can pick up that torch. I officially can't.
Yeah, I know you can't. You have a job and are straight and everything like that. But
Right. But you can do what you want. I don't care. You're a grown ass man.
Well, I'm not doing that either because I don't want to screw. I don't want to screw up our brew equipment. I want somebody else to figure out the psilocybin beer. All I did was I figured out the THC beer, and then I checked it against Colorado home brewing forums, and they had already figured it out, but did exactly what I figured out.
Oh,
so I was proud of myself in that way, but I was like, oh yeah, but everybody's already done it, so I don't care.
Old news, but you got there but on your own.
Yeah.
My science was good. All right. We're doing Beerify It. I already called it out in last segment. We're bringing it back this week because, obviously, Adam Bashline is a home brewer, and we want him to do his best of beerifying it. For those of you who haven't listened in the past, Beerified is where we take a concept, an idea, a person, a movie, anything out in the world, and we try our best to come up with a recipe to honor or, just pay homage to what we're talking about. So like in the past, we've done a barrel-aged stout for The Undertaker. We did a whole bunch of things for past guests last week. Now it's Adam Bashline's turn as an experienced home brewer who does a lot more home brewing and makes better beer than us to honor some of his favorite things with beer recipes. And with that, I'll give you the first thing I want you to honor. You've talked a little bit about it, but you've mentioned how you're a fan of heavy metal music. So one of the most probably prominent drinking heavy metal acts out there is a band by the name of Ailstorm.
Mm.
I know you know a little bit about them, Hop Nation, Adam, but
Oh yes. I enjoy their tunage.
yes. Yeah, they mostly make pirate drinking songs is what their deal is. And I've seen them once with Necrogoblicon down at the Smiling Moose for local references.
What a sentence that is.
Yeah. And it was a good time, and I lost my hearing, and that was fun. So better years. But now, Adam Bashline, it's your turn. How would you honor Ailstorm with a homebrew?
So, Ailstorm, like you said, like the pirate metal thing. I think a dark and stormy stout, aged, like so, cocktail-inspired stout
Mm-hmm.
with some ginger in there, and then you age it in a rum barrel, natural. So, I mean, we have never done barrel aging, but
Yeah, I mean, neither have we, but we go out.
yeah.
But
yeah,
I know where you can get them though.
I think that would fit their mold.
I think so as well. I mean, they have a lot of songs about singing. They have a lot of songs about drinking rum, and we're all fans of Dark and Stormies anyway.
Oh yes. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. Boy, I still have a bottle of Kraken in the fridge. So, I guess the question is, I mean, do you go for the obvious barrel of a Kraken barrel?
I mean, I think that's appropriate. Yeah. I mean, that or Captain Morgan because the pirate tie-in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I think Kraken. I think a dark rum would be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had any beers aged in a dark rum barrel.
I can't think of any either. But you're a home brewer, so you're an innovator.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just need to find one of them barrels.
Well, see, maybe, hopefully, possibly, we just get the ear of Ailstorm and Kraken with this episode, and then they'll send you one.
That would work.
The beer will give itself away.
Yes.
Yeah.
The beer will make its way in the world.
So for the next one, obviously with a few of the beers that we've had here, there's a tilt towards the horror film genre, things like that. And since we're on a podcast and we've got horror coming in throughout the conversation here, I think it's appropriate to talk about something of a horror podcast. And one of the biggest ones out there is Last Podcast on the Left. I'd say that's one of the biggest and most well known. I have gotten into that podcast myself on several occasions. It's fantastic. So if you were to brew a beer for Last Podcast on the Left, what would you brew?
I feel like I'm just going to talk out loud with the idea. I feel like it would have to be something that comes off a really deep red, like a blood red. So I think like maybe go with like a cherry cobbler ale and make it hazy so it grabs onto that cherry puree and like little dark, like real dark on the cherry. I don't know, because my favorite episodes of Last Podcast on the Left are all of their serial killer ones. Like
Right.
Same here. Here.
Those are just my favorite. So I'm just thinking like blood and gore. Just getting a good color out of that. So I think that'd be it.
Although
I think that'd be it.
Yeah. I would agree. Like most of the ones that are my favorites are the serial killer ones, but I think my all-time favorite might be that series they did on the Japanese death cult, the Shinrikyo.
Oh man, that one was so good.
It was so funny too. But it's such a bizarre story of like, how the hell did you get there?
So I'll admit that series I did not catch.
Yeah, go back into the archives or wherever you can find it because they're Spotify only now or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk about a podcast on a podcast when we get into podcastception.
Yeah. It's a bigger podcast than us. And then again, this is marketing, Adam, because if we talk about the bigger podcast, maybe they'll talk about our smaller podcast.
Ah, smart.
And then that's how they get their cherry cobbler ale from Adam.
Which I like the idea of. You had mentioned blood, blood and gore. I think that'd be a
Yeah.
good name for the beer.
Yeah.
And I already have an idea for the label. You have to have Al Gore holding a bloody knife, and he's cut a fiber optic line
Okay.
because he destroyed that he has created, that being the internet.
He destroyed the internet. Killed his creation.
He has killed what he has created.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea. My only add-on, and it's just stealing from what I said last week
Mhm.
of doing party guile style. Do this one party guile style as well. So you get a real big one for Bed and Kissel. You get a high ABV big beer for him because he's basically a giant of my size. And then you make a smaller one for, Henry Zabrowski, and then the middle one's for Marcus.
Damn.
And you put some sort of organ meat in Henry Zabrowski's.
Right, yeah.
A little bit of brain or whatever.
I was thinking of sausage, but okay, all right.
Yeah. His is
He's the really weird stuff.
yeah, his is served on a Ouija board, so. All right, Adam, your next one. And we're still talking a little bit podcast, but I'll give you some more freedom on this one. You're a big fan of comedy as well, and I believe you have some of the same comedic tastes as I do, and probably, our Hop Nation Adam as well, but you're into Tom Segura.
Oh, yeah.
So I also imagine you're into his podcast universe that he's also created with his wife,
Yes.
as well as Two Bears, One Cave with Bert kreischer.
Yes.
So I'll kind of let you just leave that open-ended, and you can kind of take that as you want. But, how would you kind of honor that comedy, that little comedy cosmos?
So I already have these planned. I'm not going to lie.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
I'm doing them already. For this one, to make up for the terrible ale store name. So one of them we had a great idea for was a triple IPA called Don't Be Stingy, Mark. IABP, Don't Be Stingy. And then the other one we were going to do, we did one called beer called Dad Shoes last year, which was a lemon shandy. And then we put like a grass stained New Balance on the label.
Nice.
And we released it on Father's Day. So this year, it's already in planning. We're going to do, and it's nothing new. Well, a lot of breweries are doing it, but we're going to do a mimosa beer.
Mhm.
We're going to call it Mom Jeans and kind of have it in the your mom's house, style.
Right.
Just call it either Mom Jeans or Mommy Jeans or, yeah. Me and my co-brewer actually, we watch that every week. Almost everything in their podcast lineup.
I mean, and just to be fair, that's a real good one to have on in the background if you're brewing, just because it's pretty long form, so you can, crack that out while you're listening on a brew day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, they did like, he does that one with Bert kreischer, the Two Bears, One Cave.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that live episode that they're streaming. So we're actually going to throw that on Saturday while we're kegging up beers.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to watching that, but I was surprised you kind of didn't go down that route of also including a Bert kreischer beer in your.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely in the future. But yeah, it was so funny because we were spitballing.
Two beers, one keg.
We were spitballing ideas for your mom's house beers a couple weeks ago when we were having some beers, and the Don't Be Stingy one almost made me fall off the bar stool.
That's pretty damn funny. I mean, not to like give your wife any kind of art direction or anything, but if the label is just a big fat belly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. No, that would get some traction, I would think.
Yeah.
And Ed Asner can't cease and desist me either. I'm not making money. on it.
Right. Oh, you could take his character from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Hold up a tick.
What?
Bert Kreischer has a character?
No. You're nope.
I am way behind then.
Yeah, we're kind of on something else.
All right, okay. I have fallen behind then.
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that.
It's okay. You probably don't want to be a part of what we're talking about anyway.
You know what? I'm all right with that. I know when to walk away from the table.
Yeah.
This feels like one of those times. Just go to the pay window, push in my chips, and go to the bar.
There you go. All right. Do you have another one for Adam Bashline, Adam Hop Nation USA?
I appreciate that you've been able to differentiate us that well on this episode, Steve. I truly do appreciate that.
3 beers deep, even.
I know, right? That's why I'm surprised. But one final one, and this one's real simple. I'm not gonna get into it. Bethlehem.
My buddies at Bethlehem. Well, we got to bring back Brutal Beer Fest.
Yes.
True.
Yes. Please and thank you.
Lab on one. Oh man. How do we do? I mean, we gotta go with like an ancient ale recipe.
Probably.
Like kind of like a mead ale. Like a carbonated mead, like that. I'm not going that far, but like a grog mead.
It's probably like closer to a braggot, even.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'll just give you a little bit more time to think, but just for a little background for the listeners, Bethlehem is a local Pittsburgh metal band that is very heavily influenced by the fantasy aspect and aesthetic. So you get, they're all dressed up in warrior garb that you would find in D&D, and there's goblins, and there's cock ripping, and there's swords, and there's all of that. It's like Gwar, but for D&D. And that's why they're great.
Yes. And they sound really good too, let's be honest.
Right, yeah. But just a little, background for the audience outside of Pittsburgh. Although they did just release a music video that was made by the people who did Robot Chicken, like the animators.
I did not know that.
Yeah, the animators who did Robot Chicken just animated their most recent music video, and it is hilarious.
Oh, shit.
I saw
all right.
clip of it, but I haven't watched the whole video yet, and I did not know that's who did it. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep. We're checking that out. So back to you, Adam Bashline. We're kind of down to a mead braggot. What flavors are we looking to impart with this?
I want to make it savory. I'm going to smoke it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to throw, I don't know what I could throw in it. Like, if I could throw in something to give it the essence of bacon. Like smoky. And I've had some bacon beers. They don't turn out well, but we'll figure it out for this beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a smoky, savory with a little bit of sweetness from the honey. I think that'll.
See, yeah, that's always an interesting thing is like every bacon beer I've had, excuse me, every bacon beer I've had does not really taste like bacon. But if you get into smoked beers, if you use the right wood and the Schlenkerla that uses beech wood, that always tastes like bacon.
Right.
It's the craziest thing.
So yeah, I think we just smoke the malt with that, and then brew the beer from there.
I think that also opens up because if you're making like kind of an ale mead blend, so you make like the ale with the smoke malts, but then maybe the mead is like sage and rosemary.
Ooh.
That'll give you a little bit of that savoriness as well.
This sounds like a collab beer we need to do. Like a 3-way collab with
Smart.
And we'll collaborate on the main stage at Mr. Small's.
Right. just release it, and then just for the fuck of it, throw green food coloring in it so it comes out like goblin blood, and then
Yeah, exactly.
They're not using the stage. Sadly, they're not using the stage for anything else right now. So
right. so it can be a brewing house.
It can be our brew altar.
A brew altar. Ooh, I like that.
Brew altar.
Now there you go. That's thinking.
That is.
Yeah, and I think I got it. I think a good name for that one would be 20-sided warhorse.
There you go.
Ooh,
And we make
yes.
it a warhorse. It's got to be. Well, it will be high ABV.
Yeah, that's not coming in under 10. So
No.
yeah, 20-sided warhorse, and if we can get it to actual 20, yeah.
Oh shit.
Well,
Yeah.
you shoot high.
And then it would be a natural 20 because it's because we didn't cheat.
Actual D&D jokes on my podcast.
Get out of here, nerds.
I just feel bad for all the other dice that never get all the love. It's always the D20.
Well, it gets all the love, but it also gets all the hate.
It does. Well, because it rolls a 1 once in a while.
Yeah,
too.
you roll that 1, and it's all downhill from there.
Nat 1s all the way down.
All right. Well, let's come back to the brew that Adam actually did brew, other than all these fantasy brews that we've come up with so far.
The ones that he hasn't brewed yet.
Yet. The shape of things to come. But let's come back to the one that is. And the one that is, oh my God, look at that face. The apple fritter ale. I'm enjoying this beer.
I am too. This one is like I said in the last segment. The pumpkin roll ale was a very good campfire beer. This one is as well, but a bit earlier in the year,
or even earlier in the day
when it's warmer out. Yeah.
If you're at a cabin or whatever, this is like your day drinker.
Yeah.
And then the Shatfaced would be your night drinker. So yeah. I like this one. The one thing I'll say is I kind of was expecting it more to be like a fritter, the way I like my fritters. But like once you told me that it was made with Cinnamon Toast Crunch and I understood what the recipe was, I was like, oh, this works really well as well. And like you get all the flavors of apple and cinnamon. So it pops very well.
Don't fritter shame, Steve.
I'm not fritter shaming. I'm just like I'm very specific about my donuts, and apple fritters are just complicated donuts.
Your treats.
Yeah. Picky about my treats. But yeah, I like this one a lot. I think we can do the podium this week because we do have beers from all, we all shared the same beers this week.
We did. I don't know if we can, but I don't know if we can. This is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Steve, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first.
All right.
My bronze medal will go to the Save the TT's Hibiscus Tea Ale. I like it. It's fine. All the beers we drank tonight were good. It's just, it's the most, I don't want to say boringest one, but it's the less like the treats I love.
Don't treat shame, Steve.
Yeah, I'm not treat shaming. I'm the one who loves treats. So, yeah, but it's still a very fine drinking ale, and the color is very impressive on it. It's a nice, easy drinker, and it's refreshing. But I guess maybe because it doesn't fall into a fall aesthetic of it's more of a spring summer drinker. That's when that beer would really shine. Silver, I'm going to give to the apple fritter ale. Is also very good. It's very sweet, and it's a yummy treat. But just the fact that the Imperial pumpkin roll ale captures the flavor of a pumpkin roll ale just a little bit better is the reason why I'm going to give that one gold, because it encompasses everything. It has that nice blast of spice up front as well, and it stands out from other pumpkin beers I drank, especially this year, because I haven't had that many this year. But this one, the Shatfaced is so flavorful in comparison to even ones we've had on the show this year that I can't not give that one gold. So yeah, them's my rankings, Adam, from the Hop Nation USA.
Good catch. Good catch. You almost missed that one. For me, I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to put the oh my God, look at her face, the apple fritter beer in the bronze medal position. And that's not to say it's a bad beer by any stretch of the imagination. All three of these beers are really good, and I would be more than happy to hand any of these to my friends. Say, hey, it's good beer. You're gonna like it. It's gonna be okay. And I don't even really know why it's going in the bronze medal position. And I think the biggest reason is because in the silver medal position with the Bash Cancer beer, with the presentation with the redness of it, and the red and the purplishness of it, and the fact that it is, kind of hooked up with being able to donate to charities, to cancer charities and things like that. I think that's the only reason that one gets the silver medal position. So it's a very, 1A, 1B situation. They're both really good beers. I'd be willing to drink both of them without a doubt again, if and when the opportunity arises. But unfortunately, that pumpkin roll ale, whew, I would be willing to put that up against almost any pumpkin beer out there on the market today. Anyone that's on the shelf, put it up against that. Yeah, it'll give it a run for its money. So that one goes in the gold medal position, and I'm gonna have to find out a way to get more, without a doubt.
Well, you'll have to donate to the Bash Brew Fund, and hopefully he'll make
I'm okay with that.
2 10-gallon batches next year.
Yes.
And with that, we come to Adam Bashline. It's now time for you to rank your children.
I was just gonna say you're making me rank my kids.
Yeah, of course.
Which one gets to go to college?
I'm gonna also put the Save the TTs in the bronze medal position. Like you said, it's a good beer, but like Steve said, it's a good beer, but I will say boring compared to the other two. I didn't take offense to that at all. It is a more normal beer than the other two. But it was a lot of fun to make. I really liked how it turned out. It'll be back again. Silver position for me is, oh my God, look at that face. It's a good beer. It was only the second time we made that one. So I would like to improve it a little bit. But I think it's still doing really well. And it was a struggle this year to make that one. It fought us on every step of the process. And so the gold goes to Shatfaced Imperial Pumpkin Roll Stout for me as well. Because
Right on.
I just love that beer.
I mean, come on. How could it not be?
Yeah. Across the board, I think everybody agrees.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, Adam Bashline, why don't you just keep carrying on? Tell everybody where they can find you, how they can get in contact with you, if they're trying to get some beer from you, or just follow your homebrew adventures.
Real quick, I wanted to plug Bash Brew, Fury Brewing, Doortop Brewing, and I know a favorite brewery of this podcast, Couch Brewing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just did a 4-way collab beer that will be released at their, I guess they're calling it Back in Black, their former Blackout Festival this year. And it will be a pecan pie honey brown ale.
Ooh.
Imperial. I think it's going to be high. It's 7.5, 8, somewhere, maybe even higher.
You don't have to keep selling it.
Yeah.
I'm already sold.
We brewed that up last weekend. And my wife got to do the sign for that. So you'll see some Bash Brew inspired artwork and a little bit of a wrestling theme. It's called the Four Horsemen.
Nice.
With a very comical label on it, if you know anybody from those 4 breweries. So just keep a lookout for that.
There's the Mongo in that.
No Mongo. There's no Mongo. But definitely for Bash Brew, we're on Instagram at Bash_Brew. And we're on Facebook as Bash Brew. And I'm also on Facebook as Adam Bashline. So if you have any questions about the charity or what's coming up next, or if there's any homebrewers or soon-to-be homebrewers that want to get into it and have questions, I'm here. I'm available. DM me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever you would like to do. And yeah, hit me up.
Awesome.
All right.
I can get you some beer somehow.
And if you want to get in contact with us, all you have to do is search Hop Nation USA on your favorite social media, which includes Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you have questions about homebrewing, though, contact Adam Bashline. But if you want to listen to brand new episodes of Hop Nation USA podcast every Friday, as you should, then search Hop Nation USA on your favorite podcatcher like Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everything else that has cast in the name, because we're on every platform. I try to make sure that maintains. If you found a platform we're not on, tell me, I'll put us on there. But if you're on any of these platforms, leave a 5-star review, because
we are a 6 Shatner show, but they only let us use Chris Pine.
And that's a bigger crime than Halloween Resurrection. That movie stinks. But yeah, I want to give a nice thank you to Adam Bashline for coming on the show, as well as sharing his beers with us. All good things, and we're also looking forward to more from him in the future.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I've wanted to do this for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can't wait to be at a homebrew fest with you guys.
To
and be able
compete.
to compete and lose, and that's okay.
Yeah, we're good with losing. But I'll put the Sippy Black Ice against him any day.
Gold medal on gold medal.
That's right. When there's only 2 black IPAs in the category, you've got a 50-50 shot chance of winning. And I did. Medal winner. Never forget.
That's right. They can't take it away from you, Steve.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back next week with something new.